and welcome to Labor Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week's episode of the program, we will be focusing on the looming strike in the healthcare sector with special emphasis on the mass rally that took place nationwide. But first, let's take the news. We will be right back. The Joint Health Sector Unions, which comprises of the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Non-Academic Staff Union of Allied Health Professionals, Senior Staff Association of University Teaching Hospitals, Research Institutes, and associated institutions proceeded with the union's national directive to hold protest rallies nationwide. Health workers who were seen carrying placards with different inscriptions called for the immediate sack of the health minister.
What we are asking for is equity. We are government workers. You have increased your salary once, increase our own. You said no. You increase it the second time, increase ours, you said no. So we are on that. Until that is done, this rally will definitely metamorphose into a full-blown strike very soon. This is just a warning to the government.
Nothing don't privatize us. Don't allow the Minister of Health to cajole you into PPP that is not holistic, PPP that is so deceptive, PPP that will make the country more poorer, PPP that will not meet the needs of the common man.
We are faced with a situation where a minister that is supposed to represent the medical practitioner and health workers is representing only the medical workers. And we are faced with him. He's the one opposing us. He's the one that is supposed to present our case, but he's the one standing against it. That's not allowing us. You don't want us to move. And their plan is to privatize the hospitals.
We reject in totality the strategy of the Federal Ministry of Health to cause disaffection among our members. Do not forget, they now want our members to be coming cap in hand to beg for their legitimate rights.
Some of the workers' demands are the upward adjustment of current salary structure, the appointment as CMD or MD, which according to labor leaders is in accordance with the law that established the health institutions, implementation of consultancy cadre, immediate payment of April-May 2018 salaries, payment of promotion arrears, and a review of retirement age from age 60 to 65.
They are talking about no work, no pay, and they are owing our members several months, like in FMC Owerri. Beside the 4-month salary they were owing, they are still owing May and April.
We ask a question. Is the law, which actually was promulgated by the military and turned to the act during the democratic regime, only meant for the health sector? Or why will a particular sector of the country go on strike if they are not paid, and then another sector goes on strike to pay them even 3 months?
We have waited long enough and we are tired of waiting. So we are sending message to them that this money should be paid immediately without further delay. And that is the only message we believe we can send to them to bring about the much desired peace in the health sector. This protest is all about the non-payment of the salary of our workers, especially those in the tertiary institution. If you could recollect, sometime in April-May, we had a strike, and as a result of this, salaries of our workers were being denied, and up to now the salaries have been paid, not been paid, despite the fact that the ADRO, to which the issue was being pinned at, have instructed.
In as much as we are law-abiding citizens of this country and we are respectful of the law, we also wish to express our mind on that illegal discretionary position by withholding our salaries. Of course, there are so many accusations on ground, there are so many issues on ground, but the major one we are discussing now, because we don't want to invade majorly the issue of ARD, is the withheld salaries of April and May.
JOESU members, who boast of about 1 million members, say the shortage of manpower in critical professional areas remains one of the huge challenges the healthcare sector is faced with in Nigeria.
we are aggrieved, and at the same time, we are not happy at all with the way the minister is treating us. If you look at the health sector, especially in an hospital that we are here, right, we have doctors because we are treating neurons, that is psychiatric issues. Now we have doctors, we have nurses, psychiatric nurses, we have social workers, we have clinical psychologists, we have administrators who will clerk a new staff when they come. And it is expected that everybody should be treated. We are not talking of equality now. We are talking of at least somebody should be given what belongs to him. And if you remember recently, even the ASU went on strike and they were paid. But now what happened? We went on strike, are you getting it? Because they were the one who started this issue. And when we decided to go on strike, because that's the only language that the government will hear, and we now came back, our April and May salary was withheld. I must just say this quickly, it is an injustice.
We have appealed to the Minister of Health in person of Dr. Isaac Adewale to look into it and treat us with other members of the health team workers as one, and there should be no segregation. We go to the same markets, we have our children in school. In fact, we have a lot of dependents. Some of our graduates are at home, no job. So I'm pleading with the government to help us and get this money paid. I am very sure if the president is well informed about this, we would have received this money before the year 2018 ended. But now we are putting it in the year, and I know that our president will hear of this. Let him ask Adewale to give us our money.
Even before we started this, our stress we are posing ourselves to get what we need, which is supposed not to happen. We've been on some things that we are dragging with the Ministry of Health on the federal level. That they should please look into the way they discriminate in the health sector, giving the doctors as if it's a ministry of doctors, giving the doctors some money, even to enjoy than we. Comments to comments, they refuse to adjust and make us to benefit. The Minister of Health, Adewale Isaac in quotes, have been having a slight attitude towards the workers in Ministry of Health, and we are now using this video to talk to Mr. President. If he has not been aware of what we have been experiencing, we are pleading to him that he should please come to our aid in the health sector.
Health, they say, is wealth. Thus, the need to properly dissect the demands of JOASU. And to dissect this matter with me on the program is President of JOASU. He will be shedding light on the several issues placed on the table between the federal government and the health workers. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program once again.
It's a pleasure to meet you again. Thank you.
A lot has actually happened after our last discussion, which took place sometimes last year, and is still on the same issue that I'm discussing with you today, and that's the issue of JOASU strike. And that's because there's so many issues on ground that the government is yet to actually yield to your demands. First, I would like to ask you, why did JOASU call off the strike last year, that is in 2018, without government intervention towards the issue that you presented on the table?
Thank you for that. Trying to step backwards first. Actually, we had a very good run in the strike, but there were interventions from several quarters which we felt we needed to get something substantial before leaving. But the last of it was the court, the court order. Even the Senate President's intervention was really good enough for us to give to suspend actions. If it had come out the way it went, today we wouldn't have been talking about strikes notices again. But be that as it may, the court said we should suspend action in addition to the other things I earlier mentioned, the interventions from NLC, from everywhere. But we have to obey the courts. We are law-abiding people, so we obey the courts, even though we know some others do not.
Now you've obeyed the court order, and it's more than 6 months after obeying the court order, the situation still remains the same. What's your members' response towards this?
It's unfortunate that the situation had not got better than it ought to be. But I think our members, initially, there was some misunderstanding of the issue, but we've gone around to re-enlighten our people. And one, it is for everyone to try to have trust on government. But even though we know that the Ministry of Health, especially the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Labour, are very slippery areas in under the recent managements. Very slippery. We've come to know very well that you can't rely on them, and that's why we stopped the negotiations. And finally, when we were asked to come to court, when we were served, initially they were claiming they have served us order and all that, which was lie. But when we got the order, we promptly went to court. Even though they were celebrating, premature celebrations were already on that, US leaders will be jailed. We went to court, and we expressed our own self, and the courts never found it necessary to jail us. So we're still free walking. And to be very candid, I was disappointed, with the way the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Labour handled it, even after the court had said we should go to the ADR. We felt the court is the hope, the hope of the common man. And now that the court has come in, sending us to ADR, we felt that would be a short lead to, resolving the issues. But it was unfortunate that ADR that would have stayed for 21 days, and at most another 21 days, which is 42 days, we are, forced to be there because the Federal Ministry of Health was not forthcoming with reasonable intention to settle the issues. So, but we also were not wanting to be blackmailed that we went to ADR and we were not patient to stay to the end of ADR. So we stayed. But thanks to God, and within that period, because the ADR rule says we should not divulge whatever is happening there, there was kind of disconnect between we and our members, which of course the Federal Ministry of Health, in their very mischievous ways, exploited. They exploited that vacuum and were misinforming our people, and also creating conditions that were very harsh on our people against the ruling of the courts. Because the court, just like the court has the right to say, okay, hey, wait a minute, stop this strike action. It's a law. Strike is a right. It's in the law. But the court said, stop. The court also has, the powers to say, stop whatever action you two wants to take or you are taking on the other side. Mm-hmm. So we expected that with the court's order, especially the last order, which says nobody, no party should do anything that would jeopardize the process as well as the peace in the workplace. That's to ensure that there is effective negotiation is actually going in place, which takes me to my next question. I am aware that health workers were not paid salaries April, May 2018 because they participated in this industrial action. I know it's not right according to our laws, labor laws, for workers to actually be victimized because they were actually fighting for their rights. What is the union doing to ensure that these workers get what they deserve? Well, two things happened there. First, it gave us some difficult things to resolve. Like our members were in pains, and because they were wrongfully, they were maltreated. But again, the second thing is it exposed the Federal Ministry of Health as a body that has a penchant to disobey court orders. That's what we want Nigerians to know now. Court said, halt it, like I was saying, halt your strike, and halt any other thing that will create problem, that will maybe provoke either side to now start making trouble again. But they went ahead to issue the letter, the circular that withheld our members' salary for April and May. They issued that letter on the 5th, whereas we have started, the court order was on the 30th of May. They issued their letter on the 5th of June. And we had started ADR already. So this is the part we want Nigerians to understand. That's why we are coming to say that is a mistreatment, a violation of the court order. And so give us our money back. Give our people our money. So whatever we're trying to do is to tell Nigerians that we have been ill-treated. And tomorrow, they will use their mercenaries like the Kingdom Human Right or whatever, with their mercenary to now go to court again to say, oh, you don't have right to go. But that same body, if it was neutral as it claims, as a human right body, would have also cautioned them to say, look, what you are doing is wrong.
Now, very quickly, looking at one of your demands, which states that you want upward review of your salary structure, can you enlighten us more on how you want the government to go about this salary structure?
We have passed that level of the how, because we sat for months, for weeks, and we arrived at a conclusion where we signed an agreement in 2017, 30th September. And the government also, based on the conditions of that agreement, asked the Incomes and Wages Commission to furnish them with the financial implication, which the Incomes and Wages Commission did. And then the minister also raised a memo to Mr. President, where he reported that he needed 22.6 billion to settle it. It was after that stage that has been done, when they got their second, they slept and they woke up and then got some ideas that, no, we must deprive these people. They now came up with the issue of ability to pay. And the ability to pay argument has been thrown to the trash now. We've trashed that because from that 2017 to now, the same federal government they said do not have money to pay this, have produced or provided monies, billions, to pay other of our colleagues in other sectors. So it all boils down to the fact that the president should know that the problem in the health sector is not the unions, but those managing the health sector. And it was further compounded by the Federal Ministry of Labor, where a medical doctor, again, is also the Minister of Labor. So there is a collusion between the doctor of the Ministry of Labor and the doctor of the Ministry of Health, colluding to say, we will deprive these people whether they like it or not.
Which takes me to the press release that the Kingdom Human Rights Foundation actually sent to the media, warning that the joint health sector union, JOHESU, should not go ahead with the strike. Looking at the way the government has actually reacted after the court order, because for now, there's no solution in sight, would you say that their claim of saying JOHESU should not go on strike is justified?
Thank you once again. You see, that Kingdom Human Rights group, I'm not sure that the lawyers there actually know what it takes to be a human rights group. It is only acting as a mercenary, like I said, just to make a statement, collect money from the ministry, that's all. If not, they should have known that this action which we are now giving notice to declare industrial action, is not part of the things we are discussing in court. This matter is not in court. This matter is not in court. So even the kindergarten lawyer should have known that this matter is not in court. Even the ADR stated clearly when we took up the matter, when they issued the letter and then we tell our people salary, we took it to the ADR. ADR said, oh no, sorry, this is not part of what the court sent us to, deliberate on. So it's clear. So that lawyer should have known. The other issues, like the adjustment of current salary, that also is not in the court anymore because it was entered. But once at the ADRO, it has been decided that the negotiation has stalled on the particular issue. It means it is no more in the ADRO. It has stalled. Negotiation has stalled. It has stalled. It's broken down on that issue. So the issues that we went to court for, if you look at all the issues, like withholding salaries from our members in Owerri, FMC Owerri, and Jute, but they are not part of the issues that are presently to be determined by the court. Okay, so we are taking up fresh issues that they have introduced. They generated these issues, and they can't expect us to stay quiet, more so when they violated the court order.
Finally, why is it of utmost importance for your members to have mega rallies across the country? What significance does this have, and what are you expecting as a matter of urgency from the federal government and relevant bodies?
Thank you. First, the relevance of why we opted for the warning mass rally around the country is, again, our concern for the lives of Nigerians. Nothing stops us from just downing tools immediately. But we need Nigerians to also know why it is happening. It's for enlightenment of the Nigerian populace. Two, it's also for the government to draw the attention of the government, because we believe that the president is not given the true picture of what happens in the health system. The ministers, the two ministers, like I said, collude to misinform the presidency. I stand to say that very firmly, because if you look at the education sector, because the minister in the education sector has no one to prevent from getting anything. He is putting the matter straight, and you see the results are coming. If you go to the aviation sector, this government that they said do not have money to pay our genuine 22.6 billion provided much more than that amount to settle old Nigerian Airways workers, arrears. So you can't convince me that the president is not willing to take care of this our matter. But because of that interest of professional clash, where a doctor minister of health and a doctor minister of labor have decided that they must deprive us at all costs, no matter what happens, even if all Nigerians are dying, that they won't care, because they want to use it to achieve, apart from denying us, they want to use it to achieve the nodding of privatization of the health institutions, because that is where their aims are geared towards. Just like they did in Gwagwalada, which we stopped. That's son of our crime, I know. The trauma center in Gwagwalada that was built with over 800 million Nigerian naira was to be sold to a so-called foreign investor who fronts for them that has less than £15,000 in the account. It was to be sold. We protested. We said it can't happen, that Nigerians will be deprived of this, because privatization cannot make health cheaper, and it can't make health more available. So when we protested, the National Assembly came to our aid, and they used, after investigating and finding the truth, they used a resolution to stop that sale. And like I said, privatization is not the solution to Nigerian health problem. Presently, as we speak, over 2/3 of health institutions in this country are private. We can say our health system is private-driven, because less than 1/3 is public institutions. So if the over 2/3 that now exist cannot make health more available, cannot make health accessible, cannot make health affordable, Is it when you privatize the public health institutions that you can make it affordable? These public health institutions are for public good. They are for the common people. But rather than funding properly, removing corruption, and then managing them fairly by allowing hospital seasoned or trained hospital administrators to manage these places, these facilities, so that we can now give better health to Nigerians, they are stifling the successes that have made in the past. Before now, the public health institutions were rated very high, even in the Commonwealth. It wasn't magic. At that time, even the knowledge of the personnel was not as high as today. But if we did well then, why are we doing so poorly? It's just because certain people want that picture to be permanent so as to achieve what they want to do.
It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure having you.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.